Hey, it's Samantha with the Rediscover Real podcast. I am so thrilled to be here with you. Are you feeling overwhelmed, confused, or stuck on a hamster wheel from constantly seeking external tools, validation, and buffering in a search for more joy and fulfillment? Rediscover Real means to pull back the curtain and return to the foundation, peeling away the layers of mindsets, identities, and beliefs that no longer serve us. As we choose to grow, move forward, and show up fully as God intended, because at our very core, inside of you, lies everything already, as God created you absolutely perfect. We get to uncover and rediscover what's inside of us, and then to expand into what we're capable of. In this space, we'll dive into topics on personal finance and budgeting, mindset and growth, relationships, network marketing, and entrepreneurship. I'm sure there'll be some laughter and possibly a few tears along the way. I'm on this journey and you're invited. I'm holding out my hand for you. Will you join me? Let's rediscover real together.
All right, we are back, and in true fashion, I forgot to hit the record button. So we're gonna do this again. There's this moment where I'm like, I didn't press the record button. I'm halfway through this episode. That's cool. So we're back, and I still have this beautiful background. If you're watching on YouTube, we are here, and today I'm really excited because I am talking about identity shifts. And this kind of comes as a part 2 to the Habits podcast. If you listen to that, you'll fantastic. If not, you may want to go back and listen to that one because it kind of sets the foundation for this. And that's the first part, is when we start building habits, that's fantastic. Then what happens? Like, it's one thing to have a habit, but then when you start to actually shift to, you're shifting your identities, and you're shifting that identity, and you'll understand this in a moment. So hold on, stay with me. Then it actually gets easier. It's not like you have your habit tracker of like, okay, I get my water in and I moved my body and I made my bed. If you were a kid, right? Like, you going back to those, like the habit trackers or like the chore list we had, really, that was just like a habit tracker as a kid, right? Okay, so I have this beautiful background. I'm a few miles from the Montana border. If you don't know, I live in Alberta, Canada. And these are the Sweetgrass Hills in the background. Well, there's one of them and the other two are over here. And it's this beautiful morning. And I'm down here visiting my friends. Now, here's the thing. I was able, if you listen to the other podcast before this one comes out, probably, I think, I was able to pack up and leave. And I've got a puppy dog here today instead of Violet. I know, lay down. And so being able to be down here with my friends and Auntie Sam and do all the things while also recording a podcast is really, really, the dog is trying to crawl on my lap now. Down. Really incredible to have this flexibility. Now, that's a different episode. But while I'm down here, if you follow me on social media, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've been working out quite a bit. And I just finished a challenge in the month of July where I set a goal for myself to walk 200 kilometers in the month of July. It's like 160 something miles. And it pushed me a lot. Now, here's the thing. It wasn't that big of a push until I decided to go on vacation. And so here's the thing with me and working out. I grew up a homeschool kid. We didn't work out. I was on a farm. We rode horses. I was in figure skating and swimming, and you're chasing cows and you're riding horses, and we did basketball camp once a summer, but I was a homeschool kid. So we didn't do phys ed class. I remember a few times Mom would make us like run down to the corner crossroads and back is like a quarter of a mile. She'd be like, you did phys ed today. Now go clean the chicken house. And that's part 2. But that was how we grew up. And so then, growing up and going into college and those things, it was like, oh, well, you should do things. And I remember like going for jogs a couple times. Like I moved out before and worked before I went to college. And I remember this feeling of like, oh yeah, like we'll do the cool thing. Like other people are jogging or running, so like you should do it too. And there was kind of this like, ooh, whatever. And then in college, same thing, like my friends would go to the gym or whatever. And so I'd be like, oh, I should go. And then I got really sick because I wasn't taking care of my body in a bunch of other ways and doing a bunch of things that were very detrimental to my health in a lot of ways. And so I got to work through a lot of that. And that's a story for a different day. But then after that, I also, as I was coming out of that, then I had been sitting a lot, working a corporate job, sitting at a desk, doing a lot of desk work, and then also being sick. I wasn't active at all. And my body was like, yeah, no, that's not how we roll here. And I ended up also years of not taking care of my back, lots of things. And so I got to a place where I really messed up my back for a while, and I could hardly walk. Like there were times where it was painstaking just to be able to walk from my bedroom to the washroom or to go upstairs to the kitchen. That took, it was excruciating. And it went on for a long time. And there's some pieces to that I'm going to put on hold for a different episode. But from an identity shift perspective, as I started to work with some professionals and heal and learn those things, the habit of moving my body, and then there was also, wanting to, you know, have muscles. And I'm careful with these words because I don't want to say be in shape because we're all a shape. Having muscles, feeling toned, feeling strong, feeling healthy, were things that I wanted to develop. And so, and of course, there's like, I think everybody, and it's okay to say that we have, there's a size of jeans you want to fit into, or within reason, in a healthy way, or a dress that you want to fit into, or whatever those things are. It's totally healthy to have goals around that, as long as you're working towards those goals in healthy ways and coming at it from a place of, I want to show up as a good steward for my body and do those things well. Anyways, so I'm down here, and I have a little friend on my arm. Okay. Joys of doing this outside. So the process of getting to that, so developing the habit, and for a long time, as I was healing my back and doing these things, it was like checking that checkbox of like, did you move your body today? I got an Apple Watch. Did you close your exercise ring, right? 30 minutes of movement, of elevated heart rate, right? Did you burn enough calories to close your movement, your calorie ring for the day, whatever those things were, right? And that would help build those habits. That was the first part. But then actually shifting my identity, and this is what I've been working on lately. So it's not just like, well, I should work out, I need to work out today, shifting that language to like, I get to work out today, but then taking it to another level of, it's not even an option. It's just who I am, even on vacation. And that's the piece that I really have got to implement over the last 10 days now that I've been down visiting friends. Because when you're at home and you have, the gym and you have your routine and, you've got the right place and your gym shoes and all those things, it can be really easy. But when you're on vacation, so I'd set myself a goal for myself for the month of July, a fairly big goal in like maybe compared to what I maybe normally would do, because I set it very intentionally. That was to walk 200 kilometers in the month of July. So that meant like walking workouts on my phone. And now I go to the gym like every day, and I've been walking like 5 kilometers roughly almost every day at the gym before I do like an actual workout. But 200 kilometers, or that's like 160 some miles, was definitely a bigger goal than that. And also, I didn't start until 8 days into July. I had only been doing like my usual 5 kilometers kind of a thing before that for the first 8 days, and which was fine. And so I figured out how many steps I needed to take and what that needed to look like, or how many kilometers I needed to walk every day. And And then to be able to say, okay, how can I shift this to this is just who I am? And so I went on vacation, like last minute, was not planned. 4 days before the end of the month, I had gotten it down. So I had 20 kilometers left for 4 days. I was like 5 kilometers a day, not big deal. Until you go camping and you're on vacation. And I wasn't counting steps in a day. Like this had to be actual walking workouts. And that's the thing. And this also didn't count my runs. I run at least once a week, usually for like half an hour. And because I've been working on training around some running and stuff as well, because it's a goal that I set for myself in that space. So this was separate. This had to be walking workouts, not steps in a day, not me being anti-Sam and running around after kids, intentionally walking. And so I managed to get like down to 9 kilometers on the last day of the month, but I still had 9 kilometers. And we were leaving the campground. I was coming here to my friend's house. I had to drive. We were hanging out for the day and still at the beach and all those things. So by the time I got here, where I could actually I was in a space and wasn't doing other things where I actually had the space to work out, it was 8:30 at night. I was tired. I was really just wanted a shower. I wanted to go to bed. I needed to set up my tent and do all these things before it got dark. But in making that identity shift of it's not an option, it's just who I am, that I move my body intentionally and I keep promises to myself and I hit my goals, I threw on my runners and I went for a 9-kilometer walk. And it was pitch black by the time I got back. Pretty much, I had my flashlight on my phone flashlight on by the time I got back, and I walked down the highway through the coulees and back again, and hit that goal. But that took, first of all, it wasn't just like, well, this is a habit. It's an identity shift to say, this is just who I am. I just move my body intentionally every day. I hit my goals. I move my body even on vacation. And so when we think about identity shifts, the same goes for anything else. And so taking it from a habit to a rhythm is often like kind of that next step of like, you have those rhythms. It's not just like a habit that you're almost kind of seemingly forced to, then it becomes a rhythm of you have it worked into your day. And it's, it's something that you do regularly. You don't have to be as intentional with cultivating that. And then it just becomes a way of life. But the biggest piece is when you shift it in your mind to this is an identity, like this is just who I am. This is how I show up. This is important enough for me. Like, and when you think about, if you listen to the previous podcast about dreams and about dreaming big, who's that person that you want to be? Like, if that's the life that you want to live, how do you want to show up for that? And so for me, I want to show up, whether it's as Auntie Sam or I don't know what the future is going to hold and what that's going to look like, but I want to take care of my body so that when I'm 90, I'm still active. I can still get on a horse. And I know people who have done this. That may sound crazy. You might be like, wait, what? You want to be 90 years old and still be able to get on a horse? Yes. Yes, I do. I want to be able to show up, whether I'm a grandma or whether I'm still Auntie Sam or whatever else. I want to be able to show up in every way possible. And so what does that take? It's not well, this is a habit I have. I work out and I move consistently. It's this is who I am. This is just what I do. It's not even something that I think about. It's just what I do. Sorry for the beeping. I thought I'd turn my phone on silent. So, the definition of identity, when you're thinking of changing your identity, it's not about who you are. It's about changing how you perceive yourself to be so you can see yourself at a higher level and have a life at that level too. And so when I think about those dreams and those big goals, what will it take for me to be there? What will it take? How do I get to show up? Who do I want to be? And it's not about it's not about changing. It's about that rediscovering, because you have the capability inside of you. You do. And so to show up as a person of purpose, on purpose, and to get to shift that, to be intentional, it doesn't mean you're like crazy working out necessarily. Like, you don't have to be like, rigid. You can have flexibility. I mean, since being here on vacation, have I been pushing or grinding, whatever you want to say? Have I been doing as much as what I would do if I was at home in the gym? Not quite. But I've been intentional about making sure that I move my body. I brought, my resistant bands with me, so that I can still, work some muscles and do some things. My friends have a rebounder just like I have at home. So making sure that if I'm visiting or hanging out with the kids, that I step on that and rebound for a while, right? Just doing the things. And also because that's just who I am. So what are the places where you want to show up? And this doesn't just apply to health or fitness. How do you want to show up in life, in work, in your relationships, significant others, as a parent, with friendships, with who you are, your mindset, your beliefs, your walk with the Lord, all those places? What do you want that to look like? Who do you want to be? Because you already have that inside you. It's not about becoming somebody different. It's about uncovering and peeling those layers away and pulling back to what God put inside of you, because He put those dreams inside of you. So how can you steward that well with your finances? That's a huge one. If you have levels you want to reach, who do you get to be to show up for that to be that person? Because you can start acting. It's not a, well, when I make that much money, then I'll have the time to go to the gym and eat well and do those things. You can show up as that person today. And that's how you get there, is by doing those things and shifting those identities, not just habits, today. So take a look, ask yourself some questions. I would love to hear. And one of the biggest things is, and I had this conversation actually with my mom not long ago, is it's coming back to, it's just what you do. It's a non-option. Well, this is just who I am. This is just what I do. And we see that a lot of times in unhealthy ways of like, well, it's just who I am. I guess that's just what I do in unhealthy things, right? What if we could shift that to healthy things? Well, that's just what I do. I just move my body. I just go to bed intentionally at a time so that I get enough rest. I show up and I do work. I'm consistent. That's just who I am. All right. I hope you all have an incredible week. We'll see y'all again soon.
You just finished another episode of the Rediscover Real podcast. My hope is always that you come away encouraged. And if you found this valuable, would you share it with a friend? And be sure to tag me on social media. I love seeing your takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And I would so appreciate it if you took a second to rate and review this podcast so that more people can find it. Also, take a peek in the show notes for a link to my website that has a special gift just for you for listening today. As always, I'm on the journey and you're invited. Let's rediscover real together.